Join us now for the City of Dillon Council meeting, brought to you by Hometown TV, serving Dillon and Marion counties.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, which art in heaven, dear Lord God, it's once again that we humbly come before your throne of grace to give you thanks for your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We thank you for all your many blessings you bestowed upon the citizens of Dillon. Dear Lord God, we ask that you continuously bless our Mayor Pro Tem, our City Council, our City Manager, our City Attorney, and the department heads on tonight as we gather together to make the decisions for the betterment of all the citizens of Dillon. And in everything we do, we pray we be careful to give your name the glory, your name the honor, and your name the praise. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Can I get approval of the agenda? This will include an executive session at the end that'll talk about contractual advice on donation of land and recreation. Can I get a...
I make a motion to approve.
Motion, a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Can I get approval of the minutes for regular meeting of March 8th?
I'll make the motion.
Second? That's it. All those in favor? Aye. I've just got a few comments. It's a little bit apropos that I've been put in this position during the last year for, obvious reasons. We've gone through this COVID pandemic, and honestly, cases are down. The other day, we've had some 0 days, we've had 1 days. I think yesterday it was 6. I think that if we continue to immunize as we're doing, and people get more and more comfortable with it, I feel like it should be out of here by summer. I'm just a redneck doctor from Dillon, but that's my opinion. I think there's certainly variants and threats like that, but I think our vaccines are going to cover as well. In our church, most of our guys are old, so I kind of told them we probably could lose the mask. We're all vaccinated, lose the mask, start hugging on each other again. So we're not back. We don't have a choir back, but we're loosening up a little bit. We still take your temperature. If you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. I'll just have to say this, and this is all I'm going to say. I've learned a lot during this past election cycle, and I continue to learn, and I'll just leave it at that. And lastly, we've got this discussion in executive session, but it excites me that we're going to move forward with the golf course. Well, if it's council's wishes that we'll move forward, but the golf course, if you look at the financials, and Janet will go over that, there's just tremendous play out there. People that I've never seen play. I've parked my truck in a place, same place for 30 years. And Sunday, one of those players that doesn't play very much, get it with a golf ball. He would, he just felt so bad about it. I said, listen, just keep coming and playing. It's a fun sport. If you shoot 100 and the guy you play with shoots 101, guess what? You win. And that's the good thing about it. But spring is in the air. Dillon is beautiful this time of year. I hope in the near future we'll be able to open up some of the opportunities to have some restaurants downtown, and I hope people take advantage of that. That's about all I have. Glenn?
City manager, you should have found on your table there an invitation from the Lakeview Farm to Table Committee Friends of Dillon County Farmers Market is holding something on April 29th, Little PD State Park. If you're interested in going, please call those ladies that are listed by April 19th. Whatever you see fit to do that. A month or so ago, I think I sent out an email or a text to each and every one of you about the American Rescue Plan. I'm not sure if you have seen that, but that was part of President Biden emergency relief bill that's going to provide $65.1 billion to municipal governments throughout the nation. We're one of those municipal governments. We're estimated to get $2.3 million sometime now between now and March of 2022. It's going to come, from my understanding, it will come in 2 different installments. The first installment is due, I think, 60 to 90 days as of March the 11th of this year. So sometime May, 1st of June, we should get a portion of that money. How much of that money, I don't know. And then within a year of that, we get the remaining balance. At this time, the Municipal Association and or the National League of Cities are waiting on the Treasury Department to give guidance on how this money can be used. One of the things that they had mentioned earlier about the money would be water, sewer infrastructure, and broadband infrastructure. That's 2 things that were off the top. They also mentioned that you could not use this money to cut taxes. That's all we know at this point in time. We do have, once we receive it, we have 3 years to spend the money. We can't bank it for future projects. So we have to spend
What the projects are in motion. I mean, 3 years, I mean, what I'd like to see us do is start that storm drainage or water sewage plant on the other side of I-95. And that'd be a perfect start. Sounds like the perfect fit, but put that together in 3 years, I think they're asking too much.
Yeah. You got to spend the money by December 30th, 2024. That's one of the caveats to this. But as more information comes out, and as I told Janet, if she gets any money from the state and you're not quite sure what it is, put it to the side until we know what we can use this money for. Because it's very broad and nobody has an actual guidance. They're waiting on the Treasury Department to get that information out. But yes, from what I read today, also, I tried to figure out where they came up with 2.3 million. First, I thought it was population, but it's 75% of our general fund from 2019. Yes, 2019 is what it's based on. So that's the number we get. Dillon County, I think.
And it's all general fund. I mean, if you didn't have an SRF fund, you would have not split up water and sewage. That would be part of your general fund. The reason we took it out, so it should be based on about $8.5, $9 million instead of like $4.5 million.
It's based off the general fund, from what I read, 75% of that. We get up to 75% of it.
Yeah, but I mean,
You still had those funds before we had the SRL. You still had separate funds. The only thing is you could not use water to help offset general fund during the low times of general fund. That was the only thing.
But
No,
but in most cities,
they didn't include.
they don't differentiate between water and sewage and general fund. It's all general fund. We had to separate out the water and sewage so that we could get the SRF on. So to me, that 75% should be based on $9 million instead of $4.5 million, and we're looking at, $7 million instead of $2.3 million.
That's just the way Fed did it. And you can call Congressman Rice and ask.
Let's do that. I mean, seriously, that's a lot of money.
But that's the way.
And we no longer have that SRF loan. Do we?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was the $12 million.
No, when we borrowed SRF for the river removing or relocating that sewer line of 301 north.
500,000.
We just borrowed, some of that was the water tank on 34. Was that SRF funding as well?
Yeah, but in order to do the funding, why do we have to specify and cut it out
From our.
why can't it be a part of the general fund?
Well, you have to in order to get the SRF loan.
Water and sewer cannot,
Even if it's a subsidiary of the other?
water and sewer cannot be used in general fund.
To
If you have a
counter
separate
your flow times, and I understand that, but it's still, it represents the cost of doing business. Just ask them.
I will,
You know,
I will put in a call tomorrow. Last month, or the month before last, I brought up to you, we had issues with our commercial garbage truck. We did a little in-house study on what revenues it brought in versus our expenses, and once we saw that, we generated a lot of revenue for our garbage truck. That truck right now is having steering problems, still having hydraulic problems, we've got to take care of.
It's not as bad, it's more electrical.
Electrical and steering, when I say steering, just cannot turn it left or to right. I mean, it's tough to do. So,
What company set that up?
that,
Set that truck up?
Mac is,
No, we bought the Max separate, but who did the rest of the work?
It's a new way of life.
It's a new way.
anyway, it's been in and out of the shop, but to spend time with it, and our old truck's been sent to Mac and Florence, they can't find anything wrong with it, but they want to crank it. We had to rent a garbage truck, a commercial garbage truck for the whole month of April, so we had time to have our newest one fixed so it can be safely driven. That's gonna cost us $12,000 for the month of April to rent this truck. The only place we could find one was in Florida. Granted, so you'll see a commercial garbage truck that doesn't have anything of our name on the side, but you know, we have to pick up garbage. And hopefully get this one fixed so it can be driven safely.
do we order one?
Not yet, we won't order one until we pass our budget. And we did send out a letter, you know, telling these folks that we were planning to do one so they can get their own one. We're on the list.
Did you ever look at the extended warranty?
The extended warranty, pretty much you want to include what that is?
Yeah, you know, from talking to, you know, several people and the dealer, he don't recommend it at all. A lot of times, you know, the warranty comes, the truck has a 3-year warranty, but the body only has 1 year. But you can buy a extended warranty on the body, but a lot of times, you know, the type of work that the truck does, they won't warranty because they say it's something falls in there and scars the cylinder, messes the cylinder up or something.
It's not warranted, covered under the warranty.
So it's warranty line. It's like $10,000. They say it's better off to bank the money than when the repair comes to that.
How much would you say we had just in cost repairs over the last year?
In this budget year, we're probably right at $20,000, $30,000.
I got about $8,000 or $10,000 bill sitting there.
I can tell you real quick.
So we're only paying $1,000 a month at least.
And 500. We spent $31,565 today. That's through March.
So our truck is 5 years old.
No.
7.
No,
That's 5 years old.
right.
And we had how much in that? 250 watts.
About 250 grand. We bought it new.
And I was paid a lease.
You can find somebody to lease from.
That truck runs every day. We service 250 cans.
Have we weighed that out on the lease?
No, yeah.
Can we do that?
Sure.
How much money did you say was cost repairs?
31,000.
That's in both of those trucks?
Yeah, that's on both of them.
Well, no, that would be residential and commercial.
Yeah.
So this is
Residential probably not that much, just because.
Yeah. Most of that is your commercial.
Well, just to, We purchased, what was that they put on that didn't solve the problem with turning?
Well, it ended up, they turned, well, they put a steering box on it.
It's-
And then it said the kingpin bushing for a while.
And that was about $8,000 just for those two things?
Yes, sir. I talked to them today after the day, they think they got it fixed on that part. These new trucks have emission controls on them. It's called a reach-in system. When that thing, when the reach-in light comes on, it's not burning off the exhaust properly. So you have to go take it in. If you don't just shut the truck down, it won't run, you can't move. So the reach-in light's on also, so it's not properly burning the emission. I mean, the exhaust also is affecting it.
They can't figure out why it's.
Well, they think it's some kind of sensor, so they have to plug it in, find what sensor it is, and they put that on.
So help you understand what the game plan is going forward. When we put $31,000 in 1 year, we're gonna lease it for 1 month.
Right
We're
now,
still put the
right now,
get it fixed.
Yeah, what we're doing now is hoping to have a decent spare in the end of this. It's been very expensive right now getting this truck fixed. But once we get all these issues resolved, it should be a decent spare truck. In the past, we've never had a decent spare. We've got a 2005 now that's a spare. We tried to run it, some it's run cut off. In the middle of 301, it stopped out there cut off. We had to get it towed to Florence. When we took it over there, they called us, wanted to know why I wasn't doing it. I said, that's why I took it up there. So pretty much I got the truck back in the yard now where it's doing the same thing, but, nothing in the dock.
Hopefully we just rent it for 1 month.
Yeah.
And and the question was, as I asked, per month, that's all they do it for. And that gives them time to find out exactly what's wrong with our grants. I received a letter, I think, Dr. Wallace received a letter, that we got a grant of $180,000 through FEMA a year or two ago to do the stormwater study. Then we turned around and applied for our match, which was $60,000. Notified here last week that we had been awarded that $60,000. So our stormwater study, at the end of the day, is going to cost us $0. $240,000 project that we'll end up getting all of our money back out of that project. In that letter as well, and in the front, we made a copy and took it in your packet. We also applied for $100,000 to do some stormwater corrections on north and south First Avenue. That did not make it. And I think they said in the letter that once we get the study completed, then we can apply for that project again. And they can look at our study and see what the study says.
I thought that's what, we haven't spent the 60,000 yet.
No, that's two different ones. 60,000 is our match.
Right.
They will give us our 60,000 back.
Have they done the study?
The study's not complete. That's what that's for.
That's why we can't get it.
The $100,000 grant that we had that was a part of that letter was not awarded because they wanted to wait until the study was completed.
See if that's priority.
That's correct.
So when do you expect them to come back? What time frame are we looking for?
Probably midsummer.
Are they gonna have a list prioritized, or are we gonna have to prioritize it through the county?
They probably will come back with some kind of prioritized system, but, again, that's going to be left up to council, how that works. Now, they being AECom, the county got a grant to do this as well. The county has hired AECom to do their study. Since our systems combined, I think they were scheduled to do one of their public hearings with the communities this week or next week, but it's been changed now to the end of April. I think they have one here, and Lakeview, kind of start their process. But we should be finished with ours mid-summer, I would think.
What does it mean in their writing here, did not meet the minimum required benefit cost analysis? Explain that.
That's where it goes back, is they want us to finish
We
our
have to
study.
study.
Yeah.
I bet you anything, they just want to make sure that it's prioritized
Yeah.
the correct way, that your most needed areas are getting fixed
But we
first.
still on the, had to pay the $25,000 for the survey that AVCOM did, is that right? To come do the survey, did we have a max or something?
On which one?
The survey to wait for the midsummer, how much did we talk?
You talking stormwater?
Yeah.
No, we got $240,000.
And what was our max on that?
Our max was 60,000, which that's what this letter says we got with that. Yeah. But, you know, we got a first grant for 180,000, and then our max was 60 for that 240. Now they're giving us our 60 back. The last thing I have is we got Celebrate Maine, scheduled for April 24th, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Hopefully the weather will be as good as it was these past 2 weekends, maybe not as windy as these past weekends, but we're looking forward to it. Hope to see everyone there.
Thanks. Janice?
General fund, we have a total in our cash accounts and depreciation of $2,018,754. Our revenues for 2021 versus 2020, we have brought in $446,142 more in 21 than we did in 20, and that is to do with property, vehicle taxes, local option money, business license permits, and sanitation. It's a combination of it all. And the timing.
Les came in, we do this every month. We got some of 2020s, we got some in July that should have gone in June,
Right.
so.
Right, but this
We're
is
not
the
doing
year,
as well as it
this is
looks
year
like.
to date
Yeah.
of each year, is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And then our expenses, 21 versus 20, we have a difference of $273,765 more that we spent in 20 than we did 21, and that's a lot of that. We had our Main Street paving, we did that, we did the sign at the Wellness Center, and some, combination of other expenses.
That's real. 273,000, absolutely real, but the increase in revenue probably is a little buffer because of that, the money coming in.
Are we looking,
Discussion of that?
are we looking to give you more franchise fee money?
Yes. Duke Energy is our biggest one. They'll come in late, later,
So you think we have a surplus this year?
don't know that, but. And probably this South Carolina Electric or Old Dominion or whatever it's called, do they pay quarterly or do they?
No, that was in one time, and I'll have to look, I think we have to, I'll have to look at that.
But Duke would be our biggest.
Our stormwater fund in 21 versus 2020 revenues, we got a difference of $3,848. Our expenses for 21 versus 20, a difference of $126,719, and 21 more that we spent than we did in 20, and that's due to that engineering, the stormwater survey, that's what most of that is, and our annual payment on our truck that we've got.
That, and I didn't look at that. That is a balanced budget, though. Revenues or collection versus our expenses, anticipated expenses, that balances, though.
Well, when it was done, it did, yes. If I'm not mistaken.
I mean, what I'm saying is that
You're
I know we
looking at
have
our
a reserve.
revenue versus our expenditures.
Right, I know we had a reserve going into it, we hired some people, and that's gonna be some ongoing expense.
Well, once we get reimbursed back, of what we spent so far on this grant.
86,000.
Yeah,
So
that
we'll
goes back
get that
into it.
now. Okay, yeah.
And then the other money that we spent out towards this grant.
And our water sewer fund, our total of all accounts restricted and non-restricted, we have $3,792,085. And our revenues 21 versus 20, a difference of $16,164 more in 20 than we have in 21. Our expenses in 21 versus 20, $114,902 more in 20 than we did in 21. We did a lot of pump rentals and engineering and vehicle repairs, and that's what a lot of that was. Our special revenue, which is our 2% hospitality fund, we've got $1,037,120 in that account. Our revenue is $25,805 more in 21 than we did in 20. And
That's without taxes.
yeah.
Yeah.
We still have 4 years left on our the wellness center here at $239,474.
If you look, our budgeted revenue for hospitality right now, we're about 5.5% above what we budgeted.
Our average, monthly average is about $52.90 per minute. That's it.
Golf course.
Oh, you're gone? Okay, I did list that, let me go back. Okay, golf course, we have I had $5,338, that was in March. We've got, the difference is $54,647 more that we brought in 21 versus 20. And that is taken out any county revenue or any transfers. That's actual the revenues.
Wow. That's
Our expenses.
40% increase, 35% increase.
We've, as long as we've had it, that's the most we've ever had. Year to date, so. Our expenses in 21 versus 20 was $81,963 more in 21 than we had in 20, and that is due to some equipment repairs and pump repairs and pumps that we had to purchase. Okay.
Any questions on that?
Well, as far as the hospitality, we got $1 million in there right now. What are the expectations going forward? What are we going to, we talked about adding on to the wellness center. We talked about different various things like putting new stuff in the parks and stuff. We're just not going to let the money sit there for another year. What are we going to do with the money?
I mean, that's going to be something left entirely up to you as the council. There will be $80,000, I think, that we'll spend tonight on that property that is under one of the residents, that we purchased.
But I remember asking you,
We purchased the land behind us that we hadn't paid for yet, which was what, $50,000. We still got $50,000 that we're gonna do something this year that we
that you put aside.
put aside.
So are you going to take another $50,000 out in July
We could,
and pursue something like a little splash pad or
we
something?
could do some things there, upgrade the parks, things of that nature.
I mean, we got to try to figure out what we can do to help the young kids have something during the summertime. You know, we talked about it earlier, man, just a small little splash pad where you're gonna get wet or something, you know, for the kids. I'm just curious what we're gonna try to do with the money. It sits there every year.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't
Well,
do
it
much
sits
with
there
it.
for a reason. You got a $5.1 billion building, you need 20% at least in reserves to support the depreciation of that building. To me, just because you got $1 million in the bank, doesn't mean you gotta go run off and spend it.
Well, I'm not saying that, Dr. Walton. I'm just saying
Exactly.
we need to, you know, we could utilize and start using the money for different things to enhance the community and the parks and whatever it may be.
And that's something y'all gonna have to decide on.
Right.
But I agree, again, we got 50, 80, and we're fixing to spend $130,000 here in the next few days, especially if we pass this resolution tonight. But it's a good point, I mean, we've always thought we need to do something. I've always thought we need to do something.
All right. Carolyn Blue and Steve Johnson, PD Coalition.
I guess it's Steve Johnson.
Man,
Shocked they gave me a podium. First of all, I'm representing in Glendale that works with PD Coalition. I'm here for two reasons. First of all, I guess to take care of business because some of them accounts sounded pretty good. So we came at the right time, Glenda. Y'all have graciously donated or given $1,500 last year, I know. I mean, they've done it for years in the past. And we appreciate everything of it. All of that goes to the operation of PD Coalition. Glenda can go more in depth on exactly what PD Coalition does. It helps battered women and children. They can come to them. They don't stay there, but they get them the help they need. And unfortunately, with COVID, it's been even worse. I guess you say, well, I don't know if it's been worse or not. COVID kept people at home, so we don't know the kids that would have normally gone to school and somebody might have recognized something. So unfortunately, that's been a really bad side to COVID that actually nobody talks about. But a lot of that we do know has gone on. So I am here tonight to request $1,500 again. I told Glenda earlier, I said, Glenda, I'm a salesman now. Let's go to $2,000. So if y'all would want to grab another actually $500 this year, that'd be great. But we would really appreciate y'all donating the $1,500 did last year.
and this is not for the house, this is for your ongoing expenses.
Right, which was my second thing that I was getting to, is we have purchased a house, if anybody doesn't know, on 301 where Tim Ammons used to have his law office, right across the street from AutoZone. So we finally found a home. That bounced around for years, and of course, you know a lot about it because of Linda on the board. But now they actually have their own homes. But that's a capital campaign that we started in October of last year, of 20. So we've actually done very well with that. A lot of y'all, and some of y'all that work in different businesses, have been very generous to that capital campaign. So that's something totally separate than what y'all do with the $1,500 that y'all give to us. That's for operating expenses. The capital campaign, I think we're close to finishing it up. I think $20,000 left on that, which was a $180,000 capital campaign for them. So I would just say the Lord is blessed to say it. Just ask. You don't get that kind of money that fast for something in a time like COVID. So we did excellent with that, and it's because of the community. So we want to thank everyone in the community that has supported us on that. But no, this money does not go toward that capital campaign. We're going to finish that up soon. This money will go to the ongoing daily expenses of running the office. And Glenda, do you want to speak anything more than that? It is.
Steve, you're doing a wonderful job.
I just had a brain freeze. This month is.
This month is Sexual Assault Awareness, Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Thank you. That was a lot of words. That's how I forgot it. But unfortunately, we even have to have one of those months. I mean, that's it's sad that we do. But I guess the good part about it is we do recognize there is a problem, and we do try to work toward it. But we do thank each one of y'all that has supported us over the years. We hope again that we can obtain this $1,500 or $2,000 if you so please again this year. So I appreciate it. Glenn, did you want to say anything? Did you want to say anything?
Thank you.
Glenn is happy to be in that home.
Thank you for what you do. It's a really special program.
Yes, sir. The money that is donated on the operation of the building, it also goes to assist victims that come in, that we do have 2 shelters that they go to, but sometimes our shelters are full. So we have to place them somewhere else temporarily. And lots of victims need clothing, they need food, they need shelter. So that helps with that.
Any idea what your operating budget is roughly a year?
I cannot speak to that.
Okay, that's
And I
If you
definitely
need to know, I can get you the information, but I
I
cannot
definitely
speak to
can't
that.
speak to it. I don't know. We could find those numbers out, of course, but Glenn would know, she'd have a closer guess than I would anyway. But we do appreciate everything the city does. We appreciate everything, when I say the city, the people of Dillon do for us as well, so. Bert told me I had to be short, so I feel like I gotta go. Does anybody have any questions?
You get that.
We will be having an open house in October, so.
Exactly, we would love, and we want every one of y'all, and y'all will get an invitation to that when we do it, but we would love y'all to show up and, you know, see the house. It has been remodeled, and it's a nice home, you know. Hopefully it'll be there for many, many years, so we definitely want y'all to see what y'all are helping, you know, the community with, so. Anybody have any questions for me or Glenn?
Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank y'all.
Thank you, Steve.
When do we do that in budget, or when do we usually, okay, so during the budget process, okay.
All right, citizens report?
No, you have a public hearing for Dillon
Oh, I'm
Grade
sorry.
School Apartments.
Yeah. Get me straight. Public hearing for the Dillon Grade School Apartments.
Which is J.D. Martin Development. At this time, Ms. Tanya Haddock, would you like to, she's representative of the Dillon Grade School Project. You want to kind of give a briefing? If you remember, she came to council a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years, yes. And Mr. Sam Howell is here with me as well. He can explain, I guess, more of the details of our request this evening. But we're excited. Things are moving forward. We are planning to, fingers crossed, break ground by the end of August, beginning of September. You know, we're finally, COVID put us back a year, unfortunately, put us behind, but we're moving forward now, and this vote tonight will help in that step forward and getting our funding completely in order and ready to pursue the project.
And in the beginning of this, didn't we agree to obligate to like $250,000?
I don't remember the exact amount.
Yeah.
We were in it, if we could, yes.
Right. Now, are we still on the hook for $250,000?
Yes.
What does that mean? Help us with that.
Yes, so.
Because my understanding was, when I was approached, that we probably weren't going to have to come up with any money.
Right, and I believe in speaking with the senator and the House representative,
Right.
they are helping to allocate that funding
Okay.
to the city. So that's probably
We're just kind of a float.
yes, exactly. You're a conduit, if you will, for the, but yeah, the funding. But that is in their hands to help us bring those funds here.
And the purpose for the public hearing, and Sam is the attorney for this group, and Jack, I think, told you a month or so ago, the Housing Authority of the City of Florence, am I correct?
That's right.
We don't have a housing authority. So they are going to be a partner in this project. I guess funds to go through, is that how that works?
Right.
And for them to be named that or to have part of this territory, a public hearing has to be held for the public to actually come and speak either for or against if they seem fit to do. So if there's anybody here that wants to speak on behalf of or against this, they need to speak now.
Do you have something you'd like to say?
Well, we can take the mask off.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's just for you.
My name is Sam Howell. I'm a municipal bond lawyer from Charleston. And as Tanya said, I'm working with the Tapestry Group on the financing for the conversion of the Dillon Grade School to senior housing. And one aspect of it is that there has to be a bond issue, a housing revenue bond issue to qualify the project for tax credits. So if it qualifies for the tax credits, which is part of the money that's expected for the project, that reduces the cost of the project, and it also helps keep the rents low for the future tenants there. That kind of a bond issue has to be issued by a housing authority. And as the city manager said, Dillon does not have one. Florence Housing Authority has given preliminary approval. If they get permission from city council, they're willing to issue the bonds for this project to qualify for the tax credits. And so that's what's before you tonight. That's
Buying those bonds, does that qualify you for the avoiding your capital gains tax? What was that called? Opportunity zone. If I bought bonds that you're doing in this area, in a historic area, which is a historic site, so that you can renovate this building, would that qualify me if I had some capital gains? Would that help me with that opportunity zone?
right, Robert. It would.
There are a lot of twists there.
You qualify for several things, including tax-free income if you actually held the bonds, or if you just have the tax credits, you apply those against your state and federal income taxes to reduce taxes that you owe, and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's how these credits. So the credits are great for a construction project because unlike debt, unlike a mortgage, you don't have to pay interest on tax credits. So the investors buy the tax credits, so many cents on the dollar, and that's it. And once they've been sold, there's nothing further owed to those tax credit investors, unlike a bank that might loan money on the construction project. So state law says that Florence can come in with the consent of city council after you hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution to that effect. So I'll be glad to try to answer any other legal questions, and I know Tanya can answer anything about the project.
When do you foresee the project starting?
Yes, so again, we're looking at the end of August, beginning of September.
How many units you planning on putting out there?
37.
37?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we're rehabilitating the auditorium back so that the group that currently owns it can use it. It's going to be back to its original glory, functional. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful enhancement to the community. The gymnasium is going to be rehabilitated as well. We're very excited. This is going to be a centerpiece, I do believe, of your downtown.
And this applies to the people that are 65 and over?
62.
62 and over?
Yes. And they're all one-bedroom apartments, so you'll never have more than 2 persons in a residence.
Well, how will the individual citizen be able to apply? How will they know to apply to get one of the units?
Sure, we'll start marketing once we're, probably about 85% through construction. We'll start having an on-site management and leasing agent. We think these are going to go very quickly just based on our market study of the area. And yes, there will be parameters for people to come and apply and live at the apartment.
One more question. Is there an average income that they got to be able to have to be able to get one of the units?
Yes, so, and you kind of caught me off guard, I apologize. I want to say for Dillon, it was $21,500 was the maximum that you could make. So you could make anywhere from $21,500 or less and live in the apartments.
What rating is the bond going to have?
The bonds probably will not be actually sold in the public market. And so that they will not have a rating. They'll actually be cash collateralized. I'm not sure why the federal government, I'm not sure why the federal government does a lot of it, but I'm not sure why they did this program in particular. Because basically if half the project is financed with bonds, then it qualifies for these tax credits we were talking about a moment ago. And what that means is that, so there'll be a bond issue, bond money put into a trust account, and then there'll be other funds. There's a HUD loan, there's of course a tax credit, equity, and all that. It's actually expected. There'll be, I think, also some historic tax credits as well. So that's the money that's actually expected to pay for the construction of the project. But the money in escrow, the bond money in escrow will actually be literally paid out. So, contractors owed, $500,000, they'll pay $500,000 to the contractor with bond money, but these other sources of funds will immediately reimburse that trust fund with $500,000 of other funds. So that at all times, the bonds are fully cash collateralized. So at the end of construction, all the bond money's been spent on the project, but there's this pot of money of $8 million, that's the size of the bond issue. It's effectively $8 million. $8 million of cash plus interest will be in the bank, and then that will be used to pay off the bonds. So bonds will probably just be held by an institutional investor or something like that. But if they were rated, they'd be rated AAA.
You have questions?
I have a question. I am Stephanie Mitchell, and I am a board member for Dillon Community Alliance, which is our downtown business owners membership group. And one of our members called and asked me to clarify this. I think I have this right, but I want to get clarification from you. They were concerned that the bonds would cause some type of tax increase or something that would be owed by them. In my reading of the information, that is not so, and I just want to clarify it with you.
Right, there would be no increase in taxes related to these bonds at all.
The City of Dillon, I should have said this first. City of Dillon will have no obligation on these bonds at all. The Florence Housing Authority will not be financially obligated on the bonds because they'll issue the bonds on behalf of the developer. So it's really the developer that has the financial obligation, and that obligation, I guess it's ready for me to sit down. That financial obligation is cash back from money in the deal, so it's even more about, yeah, certainly no taxes, local or state are all in this.
Thank you. How do I officially close the public hearing?
You just did.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Constantly learning. Citizens report. Anybody would like to speak? Got a lot of people here tonight.
I'd like to speak as owner of 209 East Main Street. My building came down today, not completely, but it was condemned, and it has, we've started demolition, so all of the asbestos and the garbage is out, and there are just down to like, I think, the front, part of the front wall and part of the back wall. And hopefully within the next week or so, it will all be cleaned up in a nice green space.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Citizens report. All right, old business ordinance 21-04, amend Title 5, Chapter 1, to include provisions for increasing demolition costs to be charged to residential property owners. This is second reading. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Do we need to discuss the ones that have already had the second reading? Do we need to go over any discussion?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, all right. Ordinance number 21-05, amend Title 4, Chapter 6, wastewater pretreatment and discharge, second reading. Do I have any discussion on this?
This is the one that Tammy, you are.
Yeah.
Tammy came last month and gave us the education on it.
Any discussion? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance number 21-06, repeal and amend Title 4, Chapter 2, discharge of septic tank waste, second reading. Glenn, this...
Same thing, Tammy was here last month to educate you on changing our Title 4, where it stated in there that we did accept discharge of septic tank waste. This would change that where we do not accept it. And the reason was we never know what we're getting from the septic.
Any further discussion? All, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, new business resolution number 02-21, approve the issuance by the Housing Authority of the City of Florence. There's multifamily housing revenue bonds, Dillon Grade School Apartments. Do we need any further discussion?
Pretty much Sam kind of spelled that out. We're not on the hook for anything, we're just a conduit for City of Florence Housing Authority to be part of this.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, resolution number 03-21, purchase certain property from Lula W. Colby.
This property is part of the large parcel between First Avenue and Railroad Avenue. This is where I think an old pool hall was when the warehouse burned down. She was one of the first ones that we talked to a year or so ago when she was agreed to sell it for $5,000.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution number 04-21, purchase certain property from Rosemary Buffet.
This is the large parcel between First Avenue, between Railroad and First Avenue, where the old warehouse was. That's what this is, for $80,000.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution number 05-21, Fair Housing Month resolution. Any discussion on that? Is that what I signed the other day?
No, that was just a proclamation.
Should have donated my proclamation.
This is housing, month of April is always fair housing.
Okay.
We just there to support.
All right, can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Resolution number 06-21, authorizing the submission of application for community grants.
This is to apply for a CDBG grant, $750,000 to upgrade 2 lift stations. One is located on Lucius Road, and the other one is 18th Avenue.
Okay. So
This is to apply for this grant.
can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
When is the one for Hillside Drive, when we want to do something on that? Lift station down the road.
I thought that was already been.
Hey, we already done that?
It's been approved. I don't know.
We've already approved it.
They fixed it.
No, they hadn't started
Hadn't
work on
been fixed
it.
yet. They got it.
I don't think that was been bid on the way down for the contract.
We need to wait on those. Resolution number 07-21, approval to accept bid for the 20th and Hudson Water Tank RIA grant.
Motion.
All right, this is accepting the low bid.
This is at the low bid of $513,240 from Suburban Contractors. There were 4 groups that submitted the bid. They bid up and back on March 25th. That low bid is $513,240. The high bid was $808,900. Suburban Contractors is who the engineers recommend. They are the low bid. They're also the same group that redid the water tank out on Old Racetrack Road here about a year ago.
What kind of funds are we paying for that?
That is through a rural infrastructure grant.
How much is that costing us?
I think we're about 15% is what we have to pay on that.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We get the council members.
Place coming for executive session.
Oh, okay, all right, All right, Councilman.
I have a question for Clay. I know you're here for a different matter. I would like to see here in the next near future that the city council and the county council get together and try to see what we can do as far as the economic standpoint. You can share some ideas of what's going on. And maybe the city can have some incentives we can put forward to try to help you bring jobs here to Dillon or city of Dillon or Dillon County.
Appreciate that, and we would appreciate any assistance y'all could give us from the city standpoint, which y'all have been great partners with us in economic development in the past anyway.
And the last thing I got is, last meeting I asked about reinstating the K-9 unit. Where we at with that?
You want to have that key on it?
I've got 3 acres, and all 3 are across the street. We're currently full control, and I want to buy another dog, but we have been, we put out, asking for applications. We can't get anybody to apply. And if we purchased the dog, and it would put us in a situation where if you want a drug dog, you won't be successful, that's got to be a full-time job. And we're gonna hurt ourselves on the control side if we do that. Because then we're gonna be short when we're on control.
That's all I have.
I just want to start off and throw thanks out to Kurt, all he does in the city. I call him a good bit. He really goes beyond, over and above what needs to be done in the situation. The roads, obviously, we've had a lot of issues with, but he helps us with some part when the SCDOT get to us. But the other thing I have to talk about is Mr. Denny Jenright. I really called him a lot over this past month, and he has really come through for me. We had a lot of issues down in Cleveland and Washington. I think we kind of got that kind of cleaned up. And just riding around the communities, y'all, there's a lot of trash on the side of the roads.
All over this county.
It sure is. And really, truly, I think the residents in this town needed to have a concerted effort to go out in their yard and pick up stuff, even if someone else drops it. We all have to have a part in this. Don't say it's the city's responsibility to do this, because we only got a couple of people to do it. Everybody needs to throw a hand in this and really help the community out. Your property needs to be cleaned. Beanie and Glenn and I have talked about this at Lynn. There were some areas that, especially those 2 areas were cleaned up. We went down to this work at Under Bridge, and there was some, I was really concerned about the litter up between Food Line and Dollar General, and I think we brought attention to that, and that will be cleaned up, I promise you. And I'm sure a lot of y'all look down at that ditch and see all that debris, and it's scary. Another thing I like to talk about, I had a good many calls concerning dogs in my district, and I'm sure it's in every district, but we have to.
Same dogs.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we got a good ordinance in place, and I discussed with Benny and Glenn. We got a good ordinance that just needs to be followed by the residents. I'd hate to see a child bit by one of these animals. We can't be at every spot at every second. And you got to be commended, Benny. You got a really hard job to do in code enforcement. I know we're doing the best we can, but the residents are going to have to do their part too. If you know your neighbor has a vicious dog, they need to contact code enforcement and get it taken care of. Because there's some scary things going on there. People walking down the street. I hate anybody getting scared about walking out of the house and want to take a stroll down the road and can't do it because they got a vicious dog next door. Now, I think the Zaxby's thing, Benny, what's the time frame on that? Have you heard yet?
Spoken to one of the representatives, they're in the process, they submitting their plans, their renovations. So they're soon to start with applying for permits and start renovations of the building. They won't be building a new sites, meaning they'll be renovating the building as is.
Have they given you some kind of indication when they would be reopening?
No, sir, they haven't given me a day.
The last thing we heard was they were hoping to start construction by summertime.
That's all I have, Tom.
Whenever we got that grant for Martin Luther King, right? Won't we had one time talk about 73rd phase of that, right? But the grant ran out on Martin Luther. So, anyway, we get the money, try to get the money back.
Better apply for another one.
And about Mr. Anything else on Mr. Ryan or son, Chris out there?
No.
Well, I'm back to Sheffield and her building up there. Have we done anything furthermore about the other buildings up there that ain't get done?
With the apartment complex earlier, they were talking about the field, the athletic field there.
That's owned by the school.
That's owned by the school.
Or school board.
And it's a shame that field would have, I mean, it's got the backstop, it used to have softball, but it's chained up and there's no use to anyone. I mean, one of the city would, I mean, if we would be interested in taking it over or whatever and.
Well, I asked about a year ago, they didn't want to do anything with it. They wanted the school's a school.
But it just looks, I mean, it's chained up with plenty of green space that kids can go play on and stuff. Is there any place in that area that you can?
School board, local school board.
They said one time they was using it for a dog. They said one time that
They
they
just wanted to keep it at the time, But, that's always a good business.
Yeah,
I just think it just looks bad sitting there with chain locks on gates where kids can enjoy it.
People go out and get hurt on the ground.
Right.
Every Sunday I hit Starbucks and then I come down that road and come.
I think the goal one time was they were hoping to maybe sell it.
Right.
But that, we made there's been a real investment, that sidewalk and this lights are so nice. I feel like that we've just kind of, just begun over
I
there.
think we'd be right for both, things to that.
We'd like to get it and we'll do something with it.
Make a good park out of it.
Because it's not a park on that side yet.
No, there's nothing over
And
there.
really not.
there's not a park there, and then you got that, you got that development they get ready to do, we'll do something real nice.
I'll write,
Maybe a little walking path or something.
superintendent a letter.
what's, Kenny Smith has got that, he's got the perfect place over there. Look like, they compared to.
What it used to look like, I agree, it looks better there. It looks real good. It looks better. It is good.
That's all I've got.
Well, when are they gonna realign up downtown? I noticed today when I come through there several times a day, see people parked all different areas, in different ways. The lines, when are they gonna redo the lines, parking lines uptown? Because you can't, some of them, I seen a lady, by his with a guy that was stopped up there right across the second railroad track. There was somebody parked in the middle of the alleyway. They was thinking that, I guess they thought it was a parking spot. But there's no line, they can't see the line, so they don't know where to park at. So when are we gonna redo the lines on Main Street? And the trash and stuff at those sites at the parks probably need to be picked up, or some of them guys, they ain't been picked up in weeks. At one over there on the port. That's it.
On 4th Avenue over in
timbers, period. You got people living in the houses condemned. I mean, they might homeless people. So where are we at as far as the list on condemning these houses? I know you have to condemn, tear them down.
That's it. I called him about that house today, I think.
Yes, sir. I know which one you're speaking of. But as we mentioned in many of the city council meetings before, we had recently torn a house down almost directly across the street from it. And according with the DHEC policy, you can only tear down one house per block per year. So we may have to wait another year before I can actually tear that house down that you're speaking of. Otherwise, we'll be in violation of DHEC requirements. We don't want to do that.
But Ben, is there any way we can contact the owner of that? I think he's deceased. The owner of the house died. Is there any way we can contact somebody, send them a letter, tell them they need to clean up around?
Yes, sir. I can do it different. We sent the condemnation letter, but I'll try to do something a little different.
Is somebody living in the house?
They're probably, I don't think they're.
Yeah, homeless people going.
Yeah, it's.
And they're leaving.
Well, I see the door, sometimes the door open, sometimes the door closed, so you don't know if they're home or not.
Boarded up. And here's another.
It was.
We
It ain't
addressed
now.
last week. I think Logan addressed it. How is it that some people give the citation for, the grass being too high, and some other people don't get it? How are we going about that? How do we approach that?
We go, one, Benny, make sure I'm saying this right. One, what we see by our own eye. Two, we can get complaints. And then letters are written to the property owner. Once one letter is written, they then put on the list. If they don't cut it, we cut it. Am I correct in saying?
Yes, sir.
Well, Benny, if I can do it, I'd like to keep with you after the meeting. And let you do a piece of property that's been, it's overgrown for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
All right. Need a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual advice on donation of land and recreation.
I make a motion.
Second. Thank you.